You are now tuned in to the archives with Adam and Fab. Without further ado, here are your hosts. Welcome back to another episode of the archives with Adam and Fab. I just want to start out and just say thank you to everybody that's been tuning in. We are actually hitting our 20th episode, and we're going to end out our first season on doing these episodes. But without further ado, we do have a wonderful guest on tonight. Man, it's just there's so much I could say about this guy, but let's bring him on. Nick Balaban, how we doing?
Doing great. How
Oh
you doing?
man, I'm great, man. We were chatting a little bit earlier today. I was getting home from work. Gave me a little bit of time to wind down and get prepared, but I just want to thank you for being on tonight.
That was my pleasure.
There we go. So many of our viewers may know you as Mr. Salt from Blues Clues, um, but you've also are a composer of music, and you've composed actually all the music along with Mike Rubin for Blues Clues.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I would love to chat more about that because obviously those pieces of music that were in the show are a big deal, right? It's what we grew up listening to and singing along with our siblings. Um, so, what gave you that inspiration to make music? What came first? Was it voice acting or music?
Oh, uh, I think it's probably they're probably both part of my personality, but I definitely uh focus a lot more on music. I
Okay.
mean, yeah,
So where did
that's
the inspiration come from?
um. I have no idea. I think it's just the way I think and uh experience the world. Everybody is kind of turned on by one thing or another, and for me, uh, music is it's just the most exciting, and also I don't know. There's something about music that whenever I hear it, I can hear it, even if I don't like it, it takes my attention. Um, and I kind of hear the world as in musical terms. So, you know, and I think a lot of
Okay.
us are like that as well.
Yeah, I would have to say I agree. I mean, music is something that I got on all the time. Whether I'm driving to work, I'm at home cleaning. I mean, people tend to do that anyways. Um, but I mean, I'll be at my desk at work and some downtime and just putting music on and getting ready for my next project. Um, but I always say if the music doesn't touch my soul, I can't really listen to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, you composed the music with Mike Rubin for Blues Clues. How did that come about for you? I know you said both have, voice acting and composing music have been kind of something that, is a part of you. Which one did you actually land first and then
Oh, definitely the music. I mean, music is. I don't consider myself so much of a voice actor as a guy who has done voice acting, but
Yep.
I am a musician composer. Um, and when I say it's just part of who I am, I just mean it's those things are kind of natural and fun for me. Uh, yeah, that's it. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Oh man. Um so how did the music portion of Blue's Clues come about. I mean, you made Mail Time and Blue Skidoo, and I mean that list just goes on, and it's iconic. It's iconic. I mean, everybody's had to heard some of the music from the show at some point, right?
I guess. I mean, it was just we after we had the job, then we had to do the job. And the way that we approached the job, we were just kind of figuring it out as we went along. There wasn't like a playbook. So for things like I don't know, Blue Skidoo, for Mail Time, we knew we had to write something exciting, like Steve was going to get all excited about getting the mail, and we were, that was early on, one of our biggest aesthetics, I think, was to keep things really kind of organic sounding and somewhat simple. And I don't know, it's it all worked out. When you're working on TV, you're always in a hurry, so I'm thankful that that most of the stuff that we did in a hurry was good.
Yeah. Sometimes it cannot be good, and it can be very disastrous.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's a weird thing when people talk about, like, what was it like to like write Blue Skidoo or Mail Time. It's not like, we were like sitting at a table with blueprints and like, mapping things out. I mean, in a way we were mapping out, like, well, we have about this much time to do a song, and it needs to be, kind of bouncy or whatever it is. But ultimately, when it comes to the music, you just think of, you just imagine it. I mean, and any of us can do that. What we generally didn't do was just get on an instrument and just start banging something out. We would look at a script or look at picture, depending on what the music was, and just mull it over again and again and talk about it and figure out, like, what the point of it was, what it was for, and what emotions we wanted, and what the situation called for, and all that. And when you do that, it's like, Star Wars has that theme, dun 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 dun, and like, that's perfect. It's like evil march. So, and that's not something that John Williams like just sat at the piano and said, "Hey, what about this?" Dun 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 dun. He would just thought it in his head first, and then he chased it. So I think that's and that's something that, once you have a little experience with music, you can chase those ideas, but you don't need the experience to compose in your head. I think all of us can do that. So so that's nice. That's there's something I recommend for the viewers.
There we go. I know back in like middle school and whatnot, I mean, several years ago, but we used to make beats with pencils on our notepads, and I mean, it's a form of composing music, I guess you could say.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do that all the time.
Oh yeah. It's awesome. I mean, it's just being able to be free and just be creative.
Yeah, we're blessed to have a counter that's made of material that doesn't make a mark when I drum on it with a fork.
There you go. No, that's always great, right?
Yeah.
So when making music with Mike, because obviously Mike played, Mailbox. Did you guys kind of like come up with things? Because I know you talked a little bit or quite a bit about, composing and just being on the fly. Is there like, did Mike have a little bit more say so when it came to like something with like Mailbox or even with your character, Mr. Salt?
No, we took all of the situations equally. It wasn't we didn't divide the situation, the characters or the situations or anything like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the music was just the music.
There you go. Everybody just got a fair share, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, you play Mr. Salt. How was it balancing both of those? I mean, you balanced the music and then also the voice acting. I mean, behind the scenes, I'm sure there was a lot more that was going on with that as well, correct?
Well, the voice acting did not take nearly the amount of time that the music did.
Mm-hmm.
In part because I'm voicing a cartoon, so I don't have to help to create the blocking or do all of those physical things that actors, real actors, do.
Yeah.
That being said, you still want to act as much as you can, but I didn't get to memorize scripts and all of that kind of thing. When we went into the studio, we were presented with the scripts right there. I was lucky in that because I had done the music, a lot of the scripts I was already familiar with.
Okay.
So that gave me a little advantage. But the scripts change, and by the time you're doing it, I got to improvise a bunch, and you're just helping the producers create something.
Okay.
Yeah. When I came in, we had done the pilot on the very first in-house pilot called Blueprints. I was Mr. Salt and Mrs. Pepper, and we were like a couple from like Brooklyn.
Okay. That's different.
Yeah. And then when the show got picked up, they had a woman in the office who could do a French accent that was going to be Mrs. Pepper. So they called me and they said, "Can you do a French accent?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do." And then she moved. She left town, and was later replaced. But then the characters stayed French. So that's why we're French.
Gotcha. I mean, I could see the New York just because I mean you are obviously from the area.
Yeah.
But man, French. Yeah. See, I never knew about the New York accent.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that was in the in-house pilot. Yeah.
How do you think that would have played out with a New York accent?
Oh, I think it could have been great. It's funny, people react differently to these kind of there are different kinds of New York accents, but the one that I was thinking of is a little rough sounding, like,
Okay.
I don't know, if I were to say, "Hey, Blue's in the kitchen. She's making a little bit of a mess. What should we do?" So I think of that as very warm and affectionate, even though it's kind of, rough.
Yeah.
But some people find that, like, I don't know.
Aggressive.
I think kids find it warm and nice. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when you're imagining the character and you're doing it and you're feeling good towards kids, that projects.
Yeah.
So I feel like to say that, like, those kinds of voices are scary is not really accurate.
Yeah.
But I could see how I've been told by some producers, not on Blues Clues, but on other things, where I had to change the voice up because it sounded to them like mean, and I was like, all right. I mean, you just do it what you're
There
asked,
you
but
go.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I got my first taste in New York this past summer. And I can't believe it's already almost a year. But yeah,
And
man,
where are you?
I'm in Seattle.
Oh,
Just basically.
Seattle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. We're way across the other side of the map. So,
sure.
yeah, no, I got my first taste in New York, and I loved it. I mean, I can't wait to be back. And yeah, I just love the accent, the hospitality of everybody. I mean, out here it's not so fun. Everybody's so stuck up and rude. It's crazy.
Well, that's funny. We have the reputation of being stuck up and rude. Seattle, I enjoyed Seattle a lot.
Did you?
Yeah. Although I felt like I went into a Starbucks there once, and it was this was like very close to when Starbucks was just starting.
Okay.
Or starting outside of Seattle, I should say. And everybody was so nice. I felt like the niceness like ramped up, and after a while I was thinking, are we fighting? It was like it was like good morning, and I'm like, good morning, like, how are you today? I'm well, thank you. What can I get for you? I guess a coffee. Well, there's no rush. Take your time. And everybody, it was so polite. After a while, I was like, all right, there's something going on. I'm being fooled.
I've never experienced that. Maybe it's just because I live here. And again, I mean, you live in New York, so or
Oh no,
you're in New York, right?
I'm just kidding. It was a nice place. It was people were great, and I took
Yeah.
that tour of Pioneer Square, the underground tour.
Oh, I've never done that yet. How was it?
So it was so great. Um,
Okay.
you get that book, Sons of the Prophets, that gives you the history of Seattle, which is
Okay.
wild. And
Okay.
and comedians run the tours, so
Oh,
it's
really?
really fun. Oh yeah.
Oh man, I'll have to check it out. I mean,
Oh yeah.
we're always trying to find something new to do out here. So,
Yeah, that's a good one.
what brought you to Seattle, if you don't mind me asking?
I have friends there.
Oh,
So
really? Okay,
yeah.
gotcha. Okay, well, hopefully you come back and visit sometime. So,
Yeah. No, I have an ex-girlfriend is there, and I went there for her wedding. And I went there with my girlfriend at that
oh,
time. Uh, and I had an allergic reaction to some seafood,
oh wow.
which is very rare, but it has happened to me a couple times. And I got like kind of red and swollen, and my eyes were water. And everybody thought, oh my God, he's crying and he's miserable because his girlfriend's getting married.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
well, yeah.
Oh man. Oh, yikes. Oh man. So I do want to chat a little bit more about your music. Man, you've worked with some really big names. I mean, we're talking Ray Charles and Macy Gray, Patti LaBelle,
Yeah.
Randy Travis. I mean,
Yeah.
phenomenal names to
Now,
work
all
with.
those that you just named were all Blues Clues.
Were
Right.
they?
Yep.
What?
Yeah. Ray Charles, Macy Gray, Patti LaBelle, Randy Travis, India RE,
Yep.
Tony Braxton, Phoebe Snow, The Persuasions, uh, Nell Carter. I know I'm leaving some out, but yeah, that was all through Blues Clues. Those were
Wow.
great opportunities.
Huge
Um,
names.
yeah, yeah, I've been real lucky. Um, outside of that, I played with a bunch of reggae bands. I still play a lot of reggae. I love that music.
Mhm.
Um, and unless you know are really into classic reggae, you probably won't know the names of the people. Culture, Sugar Minot, Alton Ellis. Um, some of the more modern ones I played with Barrington Levy, Taurus Riley. But I did get to do a gig with James Taylor and Carly Simon once, and I had a
Wow.
gig with Percy Sledge once that was shut down by the police.
You know, you went crazy with that one to get shut down
No,
by the
no.
police.
Yeah, it was there was nothing crazy about it. It was just somebody complained about the noise, I guess.
Wow.
Um, yeah, that's bizarre,
I
but
bet.
but yeah.
So I'm sure you get asked a lot about making music with Ray Charles.
Hmm.
I do wanna ask you about that one, but I really am curious about how was it making music with Randy Travis? I love Randy Travis.
Well, Randy Travis was a remote. Um, we were working remotely,
Okay.
um, so it was great. He's amazing. He has a
Mhm.
obviously a beautiful and powerful, rich voice.
Oh yeah.
Um, and he was really accommodating and easy, and just I mean, he just did everything pretty much first take, like just perfectly and
Wow.
with humor and ease. He was great.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, no, I grew up listening to Randy with my parents, you know, in the '90s. So
Yeah,
I mean, you know, my dad is huge into his country music. So,
yeah.
what about Ray Charles? I know he spent some time here in Seattle, and I think he kind of started his career out here.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah,
he's from Seattle. He and Quincy Jones were
Quincy Jones is for sure. I didn't know Ray Charles was. I thought he was from like Georgia or something.
well, I mean, he has that song about Georgia, but
Yeah, yeah.
he and Quincy Jones were like buddies in Seattle as kids, or almost kids, young adults.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, Ray Charles was it was scary. I mean, he wasn't scary. He was very sweet, but it was scary for me to meet him and have to get over being starstruck and get to work.
Yeah,
So and to ask somebody like Ray Charles to sing a song that we co-wrote, um, takes a certain amount of nerve.
oh yeah.
And I mean, at one point I asked if he could he did that song, among other things. He did that song, There It Is, for the Blues Clues musical movie.
Okay.
And I'm playing all the keyboards and everything, but there's an intro, a piano intro, just piano and singing. And Ray Charles is he's not just one of the great singers. He's a great piano player.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked if he would mind playing the intro. So he just sat at the piano bench with me, and he's like, "How's it go? How's it go?" So I was so I was out of my own body. I'm sitting next to him, and I have to play this thing for him to show him how it goes. And I played it so timidly. Like, it goes like this. And he's just like, that's not how it goes. This is how it goes. And he just played it again, but much stronger. And it actually gave me a great lesson. It's like, if you're gonna play something, play something.
Exactly. Just get to it.
Yeah, and it's a simple lesson, but it's one thing to sort of know it. It's another thing to say, doing it.
Exactly.
And you just do it. So I did not do that at that time, but he taught me that's the way to do it. And of course he killed it, and it was great.
I'm gonna have to look and see if I can find footage of that, because I mean, there has to be something. I would love to see something along those lines of Ray Charles just getting down on the piano playing some Blues Clues.
Yeah, I don't have I have it somewhere on VHSs.
Oh wow.
But, I don't think it's on the internet anywhere or anything.
Okay. Well, if you ever get that converted, definitely let me know.
Yeah.
So I know we're kind of getting to the end of our show. I wanted to let you just plug to everybody where we could find your music at, because I know you still make music. Your Instagram, Facebook, if you have one, things like that.
Well, all right. So the best place to see what I'm up to is nickbalaban.com. That has, I just updated the gig pages, so you can see me live with different bands. And here's some of the stuff that I've been writing. So I have an album out called Hello Cruel World, which I'm really proud of. It has incredible musicians on it. And some of them played on Blues Clues. Now that I think about it, Jim Whitney, Rob Garcia. That's bass and drums, and there's a lot of instruments. Oh, John Kelso played trumpet on Blues Clues and on my record, and J. Walter Hawks played trombone and wrote a lot of the music for Blues Clues when we were using other composers to help us. Anyways, yeah, lots of people. Fun record, Hello Cruel World, and that's on Spotify and all the other things.
Okay.
And right now, I'm like, I don't know, I'm making a record with a woodwind quintet. I'm just finishing that. I'm on a whole bunch of other records that you can see on my website, and those are fun. Just recorded last week a record with a terrific 19-piece ska orchestra called the NYC Ska Orchestra, and I write arrangements for them every chance I get, which is not a lot of chances because it takes a long time.
Yeah, I bet.
For 19 people. but yeah, I don't know. I'm working on another record now, but that's also a long process. I've got a lot of songs during COVID. COVID's not over, I guess, but during those couple years of COVID when we were not leaving our houses much, I was doing a Facebook Live show from my living room. And I don't know if it's entertaining to look at or not, but but it's up there on the internet and it's on my
Okay.
website. You can see those. It was great fun while I was doing it. But a lot of the songs like I had just written or I hadn't really worked out, and I was just doing them anyway, and
Mhm.
often messing them up and coming back to it. But it was fun. It was a fun thing to do. Um, anyways, yeah, that's basically where I'm at now.
Okay.
I've done a lot of children's music besides Blues Clues. The first season and a half or so of Bubble Guppies,
Yep.
and I did all the music for a show called Word World that I'm very
Okay.
proud of. An episode of Peg and Cat. Mm, uh, all the music for Awesome Sauce for Go Noodle, um, which is an online thing. Bedtime Math. It's another one. Just a lot of weird stuff that's out there.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely make sure I put down your your website in the description, and obviously this is going to go up on YouTube and Apple Podcasts, Spotify. That's where we're at right now. So,
Yeah.
um, and then to close out the show, we like to ask for a piece of advice for our audience and even ourselves, because we like to take that into effect and just apply it to what we're doing now. So I'll go ahead and ask you that, and then if you don't mind, just closing it out after that with some, a line maybe from Blues Clues as Mr. Salt, and we'll call it a day. So a piece of advice that we like to ask is, when it comes to achieving goals and things like that, what kind of advice would you give to our viewers and ourselves? Because we started out as a YouTube channel, just sharing our experiences with people, but I have a passion of talking to people and working alongside with others. It's just one thing that I have that I really take, and so that's where we're at with the segment, making the
Yeah.
podcast. So what kind of advice would you have for folks?
Well, I guess one piece of advice would be to, as much as you can, no matter what the realities are,
Yeah.
without um, ignoring the realities, but taking all types of reality in, all kinds of truths. Do whatever you can to stay positive, I'd say,
Mhm.
because that's a great way forward. It's a great way to not just achieve your goals, but kind of figure out what your goals are. Because if you have a really hard time staying positive, you might not be on the right track with things. Whereas if you find things that just really fill up your soul, uh, that's an easy zone to be positive in. And then you just got to figure out, all right, how do I get in that zone and as much as possible and be positive in life. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it helps. It helps with keeping things fluid, with having good relationships and good productivity and everything else. It's
Almost definitely.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of simple, but not simple in practice.
Yeah,
Especially when things are tough. But
exactly. It's easier to give up, that's for sure, than it is to just keep on that path. Um, one thing that you told me earlier was the Ray Charles story, and that's you were kind of hesitant, right, to get into it, and then he's like, "No, that's just not how it's played." Like, and then he shows you, like, sometimes you got to just dive in. You either will sink or you'll swim, and with what we do now, we may get a lot of guess,
yeah.
but we hear a lot of no's as well, and so that's something. It's like, okay, we just got to get used to it. We just got
Oh
to
yeah,
get
yeah.
used to the fail, or failing at times, and things. It's just how you pick yourself up.
Failing is just another form of success. If you have a room full of rejections,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it the chances are you've had a bunch of successes.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah, but you learn from everything. You learn
Mm-hmm.
from all of that. Um, and it's like when my kids were a lot younger and they'd be writing a paper for school or doing something and it would get erased by the computer or something like that, or if that would happen to me. I mean, this is where I gave them advice because of the exact same things happening to me. I would say, I know it's really painful, but when you redo it from the beginning, it's going to be so much better than that first draft, because I know you lost it. I know that's upsetting, but you do it all again. Everything that got you through that first draft is still with you. You've done that. Now it's part of you. Now you're going to do the second draft and it's going to be better.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Definitely. So I do appreciate all of that. I do appreciate you being on the show as well. Do you want to close it out with the Mr. Salt line?
Sure. Don't give up. Just go on.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. All right. Well, there you have it, Nick Balaban. Again, his website is going to be down in the description below. Show him some love. Go tune into his music. I'm going to turn on some tomorrow morning on my way to work and just relax and enjoy. So,
All right. Well,
all right,
thanks.
Nick. Well, hey, my pleasure. Thank you again.
All right. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Archives with Adam and Fab. Be sure to follow us on social media and stream the show wherever you find your favorite podcast. And most importantly, thank you so much for your continued support. We're having a lot of fun making these episodes, and we hope you guys are enjoying them as well. Stay tuned. We have a lot more exciting content for you guys coming soon.